Let's try and make sense of these latest developments. Joining me on this India Today special broadcast is Ambassador Kanwal Sibal, former Foreign Secretary of India. Also with me, Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow at the Observer Research Foundation, and Arun Kumar Sharma, Senior Associate Chair of the India and Emerging Asia Economies Center for Strategic and International Studies. Ambassador Sibal, your appreciation of Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying India is a relationship of critical importance, and President Trump at UNGA saying in countries like India and China are primary funders of the war on Ukraine. Is America sending mixed signals, sir?
Well, first of all, when Rubio tweeted or put his post on X after meeting an external affairs minister, there was absolutely no reference to a relationship with India being of critical importance or any reference to Quad. It was a very tough statement focusing on the agenda which Trump has outlined in terms of putting pressure on us with regard to trade matters and sanctions and what have you. So it's only the State Department subsequently, whether as a result of some comments that may have been made here and there, issued a statement in which there were references to India, a relationship with India being of critical importance, and a reference to Quad. So it's good that they made some amends to say that they still attach importance to India, and in terms and the State Department's agenda is not simply that of Howard Lutnick or Besant, the Treasury Secretary, or for that matter, Peter Navarro. That's one aspect. True. The second is what Trump said at the UNGA. He blasted everybody. But I was surprised when he said that it's only a couple of weeks ago I learned that Europe was buying, NATO countries were buying energy from Russia. I mean, they've been buying energy ever since 2022. And we have been pointing out repeatedly, even the External Affairs Minister, how Europe actually is a big buyer of Russian energy. But this escaped Trump's attention, and he only came to know of this couple of weeks ago. Either he is being economical with the truth, or his advisors don't advise him properly about the realities on the ground, and therefore let him say what he wants to say with regard to India being responsible for continuing the war. Now, in the same speech, or for that matter, later on when he met Zelensky and made a post on Truth Social, he says that I am going to give arms to NATO and they can transfer it to Ukraine the way Ukraine wants to deal with them, and he's going to make money out of this. And he has trashed Russia as a paper tiger and this and that, and surprisingly said that Ukraine can regain the territory it has lost. So who is fueling this war? Europe is fueling this war. Trump himself is fueling this war, and unnecessarily scapegoating India, which is buying Russian oil legally. Oil is not sanctioned. We are buying at discounted price. We are not violating anything.
Absolutely.
It's just power play. It is bullying, and there it is.
And that would this it's power play and bullying. Does this indicate, Sushant Sareen, that means that the trade deal is unlikely to get anywhere? Or are these just negotiating levers? If they see India bends, they gain. If they see India does not bend, then a trade deal happens. They tried and they did not succeed. Either ways.
Yeah, Gaurav, I think over the last 6 months, the one thing which you cannot do is predict what will happen tomorrow. We thought we already had a trade deal, and then the Americans reneged on it last minute, right? So now we are saying, okay, fine, let us see if we can do something more to get this trade deal back on track. Even if you get it back on track, what is the certainty that the Americans will sign on it? Assuming they sign on it, how do you know that they are not going to keep changing the goalposts? Dealing with America is now as difficult as dealing with any third world country. I don't want to name any country, but any country with a capricious leadership where you don't know what tomorrow will bring and what day after will bring. Look at the kind of uncertainty, whether it's on visas, whether it's on investments, you name the damn thing, and there is no clarity on what direction the United States is going to take. So whether or not you have a trade deal, I don't know how much difference it's going to make. And maybe of course people who with a stake in the system will continue to soldier on. But for most other people who were thinking of building up some kind of a trade relationship, some kind of an economic relationship, I think they are going to be extremely wary of dealing with the United States, not just in India, but around the world. So one is on this whole trade deal thing. Now, if this is the way you put, Ambassador Sybil is
Yes.
out here, he's a diplomat. There are ways and means of putting pressure, using levers of power, not the way these guys are doing it. Instead of writing Art of the Deal, Trump ideally should have written a book, The Art of Alienating People and Making Enemies Out of Friends. That's what he's trying to do. He's crapping on
Oh,
everybody, whether
absolutely. That's
whether
exactly what he appears to be doing.
yeah. So
And
so how
Professor
somebody
Sharma, does this indicate, as Sushant Sareen pointed out, it's the art of destroying a deal. Where is that trust in the United States of America anymore? Even if a deal is negotiated, this administration, can you even trust Donald Trump? Or is it wise to just ride out the storm for another 3.5 years?
Yeah, and I've said, Gaurav, on the last couple of panels we've been on, that I believe this is a deliberate strategy on the part of President Trump to be unpredictable, number one, deliberately, so that keeps everybody off balance. And that's kind of, in a way, he's done business in the past as also. That's number one. And number two, I think the whole idea of optimizing to get the best deal is his own way. Now, what he doesn't hope realize is that it is creating long-term, I would say, disadvantage for the United States for a perceived short-term gain. So right now he's playing like any other transaction, good cop, bad cop game. So you have a really tough statement coming out of one communication or one interaction, and then a conciliatory statement that is coming out subsequently from a different source, or even from the same source for President Trump himself. And the other thing that you notice, not only in India, we talk about all other countries, he's taken extreme positions and then he forgets about them because they're not tactically, relevant for him at that time. He wanted to annex Greenland, he wanted to annex Canada. Now, none of those things appear on his radar, and they might appear tomorrow, because this is the challenge with dealing with the United States in this format, that he's completely transactional and he's completely focused on optimizing, trying to get the best deal by all means necessary. That is unfortunately the reality, that he's using every
Okay,
means necessary.
Ambassador Sybil, do you see a deal happen? Do you see a deal happen at all? Or will it be perhaps postponed for yet more rounds of negotiation, because they seek access to Indian agriculture, which no Indian government would give them access to?
Well, I'm a bit skeptical. I might be proved wrong. Because what will happen is that even if some deal is struck between Piyush Goyal and Jamieson Greer, and both sides feel that they have made some progress, when it lands on Trump's table, we don't know what he'll do. He may not be satisfied. What he really wants is to humiliate India. He wants India to make public its commitments in certain areas before the deal is announced. That you're going to invest X amounts in the United States, you're going to buy X amount of LNG, you're going to buy X amount of defense equipment. He would want that because the whole game is precisely that, to humiliate and come out as the winner, and to be able to say that he extracted millions and billions and trillions for the United States. He's been doing that. The manner in which he has humiliated South Korea, Japan, the European Union. Why should he deal with us differently? Even Vietnam, he has humiliated. So why should he treat us differently? And there are red lines which no Indian government can cross, and therefore there are limits. We can, on the sidelines, a little bit, import some dairy products under quotas, also maybe some corn under quotas for animal consumption. Some things can be done, but this is not going to satisfy him, because soybean and corn production in the United States has reached record levels, and they can't sell it because China is not buying it. So there are a lot of uncertainties ahead. And there's one last thing I want to say. You haven't asked me the question, but let me say it. We should play down this Quad summit in October. Don't have this summit. The manner in which he has performed at the United Nations, when he comes here and speaks to the press, he can say anything. And he can embarrass the government of India. So,
Yeah.
and then in any case, he has more or less disowned the Quad. His whole thrust towards China is not in that direction. This is just a caution.
That's a very
that I have in
important
mind,
point you're
but
making.
people
The
with
last
better
30
judgment
seconds
can
that I
make
have
the-
on this part of the show. Okay,
Sorry.
Sushant Sareen, would you agree? Let's not have the Quad summit if this is how Donald Trump is to behave.
Ambassador Sybil has taken the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say that. See, I'll tell you the problem. The problem is the Indians are, one, constantly talking about Quad and constantly saying that, yes, despite all the tensions in the relationship, the defense part of the relationship remains pretty much robust. The strategic partnership remains very much in place. That is one of your leverages against the Americans. You can't have it that you are dumping on me everything. You're taking a dump on me all the time. And then you expect that I tell you that the strategic part of the relationship is all very well. This is partly your leverage, and this is partly what you have to use. And this constant refrain that we hope Trump will come in October, November, December next year. Why the hell are we so keen on his coming out here? What is he going to come out here and do? In any case, that trade deal which Major Sybil is talking about, we'd already accepted. We were already ready to buy more energy from the Americans. We were already ready to do a lot of other things which would kind of balance the trade. Yet they want to shove things down our throat, which we don't want. Now, this is like a shopkeeper telling somebody that you have to take the stuff I want to sell you, not the stuff which you want from me. It doesn't work like that, does it? And finally, Gaurav, I'll take 10 seconds. It's one thing to, deal with unpredictability and act unpredictable if you're doing a real estate deal, right? If you are, construction magnate. This is not how you deal in diplomacy. This is not how you deal with other countries, other peoples. There are a lot of sensitivities involved. If the Americans
Clearly not how you deal with strategic partners. Absolutely. Especially when you're dealing with civilizational states. And this is something that Donald Trump or anyone dealing with India, they may take time to understand this, but sooner than later, they will understand this, and especially when they see, and hopefully, that India stands together and the entire nation keeps India first. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me.